Living in one of the world's most bountiful agricultural regions has many benefits. Our incredibly rich soil allows gardeners and farmers to grow a huge variety of delicious and fresh ingredients. Westward expansion and that rich soil drew immigrants here from all over the world. They put down roots, and a whole culture of culinary expertise grew up from their efforts. I'm Charity Nebbe. On this special episode of Iowa Ingredient, we'll flip open Iowa's history book and read a couple of chapters about our diverse food traditions and the unique Iowa food culture that developed as traditions blended and evolved. Then author and Iowa culinary history expert Darcy Maulsby will join us here in the studio kitchen to teach us how to cook up a little bit of Iowa history for ourselves. It's a celebration of our roots on this special episode of Iowa Ingredient.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation.
Whenever we step into our kitchens to cook or make treats, we don't often pause to think about the origins of our favorite recipes. Maybe it was something dreamed up by a grandmother or a great aunt. Maybe it was something born out of necessity, something created with the ingredients that were available in the time or place when it was created. Or maybe it's something that came with our ancestors and has been passed down from generation to generation. Let's start our journey through Iowa's rich and delicious edible history. In 1846, the same year Iowa became a state, a group of Amish settlers made their way to a plot of land about 20 miles southwest of Iowa City. They were the first European settlers in that area, and by 1879, thanks to the railroad making its way through, Kelowna was established. Today, Kelowna is home to a wide array of locally owned shops, restaurants, and the Mennonite and Amish people. But what draws tourists here each year is its striking connection to what Iowa was like in the past, when pioneers first settled the rolling prairies. The Amish way of life, in general, has steadily diverged from modern society. The Amish are known for simple living, plain dress, and a reluctance to adopt many modern technologies. Amish and Mennonite culture, like any, is conveyed through its food, hearty, wholesome, no frills, and embraced by family and faith. Homemade egg noodles, fresh-made cheese, pies and preserves. Places to experience authentic Amish cooking are rare, but in Kelowna, you can experience a made-from-scratch meal served family-style in a Mennonite home. Kelowna offers a living tribute to Iowa's unique history and a place connected to our culinary heritage. And now I'm here in the kitchen with Darcy Maulsby, who is the author of Culinary History of Iowa. And so many groups were drawn to Iowa because of our rich soil, because of the possibility of getting land. We have a large Amish population in Iowa, and we're going to start with an Amish recipe for one of the earliest crops of spring, right?
That's right, radishes. So we're so blessed in Iowa. Like you say, so many people were drawn here 100-some years ago because of the bounty of the land, and radishes radishes are definitely one of those springtime crops, right along with asparagus and rhubarb.
All right, so they're relatively easy to grow. You
Yes.
can wind up with a lot of them, so you have to get kind of creative.
Yes, you do. Unless you like to eat lots of fresh radish, there are lots of things you can do with them. You can take them as simple or as upscale as you'd like. So this will be an Amish-inspired radish salad.
Great. Well, let's get started.
So first thing you need to do is chop up your radish. So yes, radishes are incredibly easy to grow. So if you are ever wanting to do some gardening and you're just not sure of your gardening skills, I would highly recommend trying to start with radish because you will be handsomely rewarded.
Nice.
So you've got your radishes all nice and sliced up. Now what you would normally do if you were at home in your kitchen is you would take your salt and you would actually be salting these and let them sit for about 45 minutes because the salt will draw out some of the water. These are a very high water content vegetable. So you don't want a soggy salad. Now for TV, we're going to speed things up just a little bit, but put the salt on those radishes after they've sat for 45 minutes, then we're ready to move to the next step.
That will intensify the flavor too,
It will, exactly, because we're going to concentrate those flavors just a bit more. So then we're going to do our sour cream. Very simple. And we're going to add a dash of vinegar. Now, the way that the traditional recipe probably would have gone would be just a traditional regular white vinegar. This is actually a white wine vinegar, just to add a little bit extra flavor.
Okay.
So we mix all that in. Very simple, the type of thing you can throw together in just a matter of minutes and have a really healthy, tasty salad on the table with your homegrown radishes from the garden, or if you choose to get them at the store, that's just fine too. And then we're going to garnish this a little bit too and make it look pretty.
All right, I've got a plate.
Okay, so I'm going to chop up just a few of the green onions here. I'm going to just add a little bit more color and flavor right here. Sprinkle those on top. Look at that red and green there.
Lovely.
Nice contrast, very pretty. Don't they smell good too? And then I like to garnish with pepper from a pepper grinder because once again, just looks pretty. Another dash of flavor there.
Nice.
Yeah. So there is your radish salad. It doesn't get much simpler than that. Would you like to try some?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's put some on the plate and give it a go.
All right.
Iowa culinary history is full of creamy salads. This is a very important part
That is true.
of our culture.
That is true, and it's not a Jell-O salad, so we can actually have some vegetables here that passes as a salad, so it's all good.
Although maybe radishes and Jell-O.
Hey, Iowans put everything in Jell-O, so it's worth a try. The crunch of the radish,
Yeah,
the
and
flavor balance.
the tanginess of the sour cream. It is very simple, but it's completely delicious.
It is. Thank you.
Darcy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Diane Ott-Wheely co-founded Seed Savers Exchange in 1975. It's located just outside of Decorah on an 850-acre farm. The organization's entire mission revolves around saving seeds. It began with just 2 types of seed that Diane's grandfather entrusted to her, a small German pink tomato and her grandpa's morning glories.
So we started with a seed that my grandparents always grew. He went back into his bedroom and came out with this little white pillbox full of these tiny little black seeds. He said, "Did you know that my parents brought the seed over when they immigrated from Bavaria?" And I had never heard that story before. And just holding those seeds was a link to my ancestors that I never knew or thought about. So we had this treasure. We thought, wow, how often does this happen? That elderly gardeners pass away, and what happens to their seed?
From those 2 plants, Seed Savers grew into what it is today. It has collected, cataloged, and stored thousands of varieties of seeds received from hobbyists, home gardeners, and its network of members over the last 4 decades.
And so you can see like the diversity that we have in all these types of radishes.
Seed Savers houses the largest non-governmental seed bank. Inside, the seeds are stored at below freezing temperatures, and they can stay there for decades. The vigor and viability of seeds stored even at sub-zero temperatures declines over time. So another major part of Seed Savers' job is to grow the plants to create new seeds.
Seed saving is not difficult. When you think about all the seed that we have today, it's here because our ancestors saved seed, and they didn't have degrees in horticulture or fancy equipment. They just knew to save the seed because it was important, because that was going to provide their next year's garden. Every seed has a story. It's so important for us to have the stories and the seed, because otherwise it's just vacant. So we started Seed Savers with that.
And now I'm back in the kitchen with Darcy, and we are going to make caramel rolls.
Yes, and this recipe is so fantastic. It's old school farm recipe, but you can do 3 different things with it. You can do caramel rolls, cinnamon rolls, or hamburger buns.
All right, and this recipe is pretty special to a lot of people because this was actually a recipe that was served with school lunch.
That's right.
And I know not all of us have fond memories of school lunch, but a lot of Iowa kids have very fond memories of these rolls.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Lake City, and this was always the thing. It was every kid's favorite school lunch. You'd have chili and cinnamon rolls. And so when it came time to do my book, I really wanted this recipe, but I didn't think any of those cooks were still around that had the recipe. Well, one of their sons is the keeper of the roll recipe, and that's what we're going to make today.
And he was not, you didn't guess that he was a baker, did you?
No, he's a farmer, and now he is the roll master.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
well, show me how this recipe works.
Okay. So the magic ingredient to all this is potatoes. Who knew, right?
I would never have guessed.
Very old school farmy. So what we're gonna do to start off, we're gonna take our yeast and get that going in here, and we are adding potato water. So when we get to the point of actually adding the mashed potatoes, this is the reserved water that these were cooked in. So you want that starch in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it looks a little cloudy, but that's on purpose.
Right? It's on purpose. Now, the actual recipe makes about 3 dozen. We're going to cut it down just a little bit for today. But
all right.
So there's the water. We're going to add about a cup of sugar, give or take here.
If you were cooking for a school, you'd have to make at least 3 dozen.
Yes, you get up at dark 30 and get those rolls going. Doesn't that yeast just smell so good?
It does.
So we're going to go add some more sugar. This is where you add the rest of the sugar.
And quite a bit of sugar. These are
quite
very
a
sweet.
bit of sugar. Yeah. So that's part of what makes them taste so good.
Yeah.
And then we've got the oil that we're going to add, just regular old vegetable oil.
All right.
And then we're going to do 4 eggs in here. You will never taste the potatoes, but it adds this amazing texture, and they do not dry out very easily.
All right,
but it's
so they
not,
hold the moisture.
They do. It's not like that's going to be a huge problem, though, because these rolls never last long enough that they would dry out anyway, because everybody eats them. So here's a dash of salt that we're going to put in there.
All right.
We're going to add the flour a cup at a time. And it's kind of when we get down to getting in where it's starting to take shape, that's where you kind of need to use your judgment, and you go by feel, and that's when you'll know when it's ready to be rolled out.
All right, so you've incorporated all the flour you need into
Yes.
that dough, and a lot of it's by feel, just until it's not super sticky and...
Exactly, and you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to put too much flour in because then they tend to get dry.
Okay.
So just practice, get the right feel.
All right, so I've got a greased bowl here.
Right.
What would we do next?
Okay, so we're going to transfer the dough. Now, granted, the recipe is for 3 dozen, so this is small, but it's going in this greased bowl.
All right, so if you make this recipe, be prepared,
Be
to have
prepared
a
to
lot.
share with
Or
everybody.
cut it down.
Right, right.
All right.
So just keep the bowl in a nice warm spot. We're going to cover it with a towel. You could cover it with saran wrap, whatever works. But there we go.
And you're gonna let that
We're
rise
going to let that rise.
For about an hour?
Right.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is you'll start punching it down. That's when you go into the next steps of actually rolling it out and putting down that wonderful filling in the middle of the butter and the cinnamon.
Rolling them up, putting them in the pan.
up. Yep, getting them in the pan.
Okay.
Let them rise
We'll
again.
set that aside.
Yeah.
But you brought finished caramel rolls,
I
and I
did.
cannot wait to eat one.
I know they
But
smell good, don't they?
You also brought something else with them, which makes it a traditional Iowa meal.
Of course.
And that's chili.
Yes.
Why? Why would you put chili with a cinnamon roll?
That's a great question. So I thought about this a lot when I was writing my book. The best I can come up with is that we had all these thrifty former farm wives that were the school cooks back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. And so you had all these commodities. You had things like hamburger and beans and flour, all these basics. And I'm sure someone said, well, what could we do with all this? Chili and cinnamon rolls. So, and they always
right.
want to know, do you dunk the, in our case it was caramel rolls at our school, but do you dunk the roll in the chili?
And do you?
No. Well, you could.
You could, but nobody did, did
But
they?
nobody did.
All right. So first you eat the chili.
Yes,
And then you eat the caramel roll.
For dessert.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Well, that
yes.
makes more sense. And this was not at every school.
It wasn't. And
I don't remember this at my school.
No, and there's no rhyme or reason whether it was Western Iowa versus Eastern Iowa. It's spread out all over, but it's really not even a Midwestern thing. There are some people in Nebraska that do this, but really beyond that.
So for a lot of people who grew up at a certain period of time, every time they eat chili, they have to have a cinnamon roll.
They do, and even today, this is still the favorite school lunch at the schools that carry on this tradition.
Wow. So this is kind of fancier than a lunch tray,
Right.
but this is what you'd get.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
it doesn't get any better than this.
It does not, but let's try this roll. I've
sure.
been eyeing these forever.
Oh, they are so
right.
good, and I promise you, you won't taste the potato in there. It's just nothing but gooey goodness.
Oh my goodness, so moist.
And that's the magic.
And the caramel's wonderful. Oh, this is delicious.
So good.
Makes me want chili.
Well,
Thank
you're
you,
also,
Darcy.
You're welcome.
Hundreds of thousands of immigrants from every corner of Europe came to Iowa in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Each of them brought unique food traditions that helped to shape Iowa's culinary heritage. A kolache is a semi-sweet bun filled with pulped fruit, meat, or cheese. Go to different areas of the state and you might hear it pronounced kolache, kolach, or kolache. No matter how it sounds, kolaches are a super popular Czech pastry, a beloved comfort food, and a staple at church picnics, school bake sales, and family gatherings. Many 19th century immigrants preserved a taste of their homeland once they settled in Iowa. From Danish pancakes to Dutch letters, there's no shortage of sweet treats tied to European tradition. The kolache is no different. They originated in Eastern Europe as far back as the 1700s, and many people of Czech and Bohemian ancestry immigrated to Iowa. They brought the kolache with them. They have long been a part of a number of communities in Iowa where you can still buy them by the dozens. But for the home cook, many families have handed down their recipes from generation to generation. The kolache dough is pretty straightforward. Flour, yeast, eggs, sugar, and milk. Some feature a simple, straightforward flavor, while others might be more complex with a hint of spice or lemon zest. No matter the variations, this pastry is unequivocally a part of Iowa's heritage and is indeed a culinary tradition we can and should celebrate. And now we are back in the kitchen with Darcy, and we're gonna bake cookies. Tell me about these cookies.
These are fantastic. These are Ma Ingalls butter cookies, and I got the recipe up in Burr Oak because the Ingalls family did live there for a short time in the 1870s.
That's the book she didn't write.
Yes, yes, that's right. So I love this recipe because it's so simple. It's a really great recipe if you're teaching a youngster or someone new how to cook, and it's just a really tasty, simple recipe. Most people will have most of these ingredients on hand. You don't need to go to a fancy food store.
Even the pioneers could have gotten them,
Even the pioneers could have done it.
Great. All right, let's make cookies.
So first we're going to cream the butter and the sugar. And one thing that people tend to do, maybe they need to do a little bit more of it when they are creaming butter and sugar, because this is something so standard to most baking recipes, is they don't do it long enough. So most of the time, if I were at home, I'd be using my stand mixer or an electric mixer just to make this go faster. But the point is, if you don't do it quite long enough, you are risking having too dense of a product.
Okay.
So what you're actually trying to do as you incorporate this butter and sugar together is not only are you trying to get them mixed up, but you're trying to incorporate some air into the mixture. You need to add your egg. Most cookie recipes have an egg in them. And the vanilla, I don't really even get too carried away with measuring. I do believe in using real vanilla because it has much better flavor than the imitation vanilla.
I'm with you.
Right? And so I don't get carried away with measuring it because I like the taste of vanilla, and I don't think it'd be hard to overdo it. So
Well, I feel exactly the same way.
So don't break out the teaspoon. You don't
Just
have
pour
to.
a little
Just
in.
pour some in.
All right. Love it.
Yes. So we'll get this mixed up. It'll look a little lumpy. It's not very attractive at this stage, but trust me, it'll all come together here in a minute when we get the flour and a few basic other ingredients mixed
And of
in.
course, if you were using a mixer.
Yeah, it'd go a little faster, and it would be a little bit smoother a little bit sooner.
But Ma Ingalls would not have
Ma Ingalls would
used
not
a
have
mixer.
had, no, she wouldn't have. Although I'm pretty sure if she had had access to one, she would have loved it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now we're going to move on to the flour. Like most baked goods, you are combining the ingredients in the flour and then putting it in with
All right.
the
So
wet
mix
ingredients.
the dry together before you put them in.
Yes, so there's our 1.5 cups of flour. We're going to add a little salt here, a little baking powder. And the trick to these cookies is actually ginger.
Oh.
So put your ginger in there, and then we're going to combine all these dry ingredients. You don't have to go crazy with this, just get them mixed up really good. And then we'll combine the wet and the dry, and then we get to the fun part, which is when we start scooping them out. This is where I like to add a little bit of 21st century flair to these cookies. Nothing too crazy, but it's one of those little tips that will make all your friends and family think that you're suddenly a gourmet cook.
The ground ginger makes the
Doesn't it smell
dough
good?
smell fantastic. Yes.
It does. What Ma would have done is she would have had just regular granulated sugar to roll these dough balls in. I like to use what's called sanding sugar or sugar in the raw because it's a bigger texture on those grains of sugar.
Nice.
And this is going to add a crunchy texture. They will not disintegrate when these bake, but you'll get this nice crunchy texture and just a little pop of flavor, and it's so good when you bite into these.
All right.
You just make these little balls and repeat until your dough is all gone and they are all on the tray.
All right.
All right, good job.
Ready for the oven.
These are ready for the oven. They are going to go in at 375 for about 9 to 12 minutes.
Perfect.
Just depends on how hot your oven runs. So we'll get those in there.
All right. They are so thick, they really puffed up. Well, let's give this a try.
All right.
All right. Oh, wow. Those are really delicious sugar cookies. And that ginger does give it just a little extra flavor. A simple butter cookie, but that really,
And then that crispy.
the crispy
with the
sugar on the outside.
So good.
Darcy
good.
Maulsby, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you so much for going on this culinary journey through our Iowa history with us today. We'll see you next time for another Iowa ingredient. Keep in mind that circumstances are always changing, so please take a moment to check ahead if you're planning to visit a restaurant, farm, or event featured on the show.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And Friends, the Iowa PBS Foundation.